When the first round of the genius battle began, rampant killing immediately broke out. Numerous people were gathered outside the battlefield. These people each had a jade slip and were quickly taking notes. In front of them, there was a huge screen which displayed thousands of small images. These images showed what the skyscraping realm experts in the ancient world were doing on the battlefield. This screen was called the mirror image. It was a unique technique that could be used to record any scene in any place. That meant that all the fighting taking place could be shown clearly in the mirror image. Number 69 image. The bald man with a battle axe. The voice was emotionless. Everyone turned their attention to the image. With his battle axe, a bald man cleaved two skyscraping realm who were attacking him. The two men died instantaneously. The axe did not lose its momentum as it continued its progress towards a majestic mountain and split it into two parts. He has comprehended the Earth Tao and created a higher level of advanced secret skill. Great comprehension. He passes the first round. Mark it immediately. Number 177 image. The burly middle-aged man in a thick armor. In the number 177 image, the man raised his sword-shaped eyebrows and stared at the 20 people in front of him. My name is Feng. In a cold voice, the man hacked with his saber. The saber produced a blade light that went unerringly to its target like a rolling river. The blade light suffused the battlefield and immediately killed 4 skyscraping realm experts. The burly middle-aged man then flew through the battlefield and killed the remaining 2 people within 2 breaths. Genius Feng has already comprehended the destruction Tao. It also seems that he has totally figured out the first occult and created the higher level of the advanced secret skill. He is qualified to enter the second round. Mark it. Number 19 image. The black-robed youth with a long sword. Instantly, all people focused on the number 19 image and saw Jian Wushuang. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. With terrifying killing intent, the sword light rushed forward and killed 13 skyscraping realm experts in a couple minutes. Good comprehension of the slaughter Tao and his swordsmanship is extremely strong. So far, we don't know which level of the secret skill he has created, so he will be confirmed later. The cold voice spoke without pause, and his pronouncements were all continuously recorded in the jade slip. Thousands of fights were occurring simultaneously on the vast battlefield, all of which could be observed using the mirror image. When any expert displayed an amazing strength, the action would be immediately recorded and he would be judged for second-round qualification. The fights in the battlefield for geniuses in the eternal world were recorded too. As long as the warriors displayed impressive strength on the battlefield, they wouldn't be ignored. Swoosh! A figure rushed through the crowd with a sword light suffused with terrifying killing intent. This sword light with tremendous power easily outclassed 3 skyscraping realm experts. Killed them instantly and sent them out of the battlefield. So strong. There were still 4 people nearby and they all looked at the black-robed youth in terror. The black-robed youth was Jian Wushuang. After 3 years of earnest cultivation, Jian Wushuang had significantly improved his strength. His comprehension of Tao and secret skill were both much better than an ordinary skyscraping realm. Even Dark Emperor and Wu Xian would be easily killed by him. He would only need to use Slaughter Body to defeat these skyscraping realm who hadn't created any secret skills. Few people would catch Jian Wushuang's attention and he would dispatch the rest with ease. It was very difficult for him to meet an expert whose strength was comparable to his. That was why he could easily kill all his opponents here. Go to hell! Once again, Jian Wushuang started the attack and immediately sent another 4 people out of the battlefield. Continue the killing. Jian Wushuang looked grave as he continued to fight. On the battlefield, the killing continued at increasing levels of aggression. Everyone knew that passing the first round depended on their strength. Since they all had tokens to protect themselves, no one was worried about dying and went all out to kill their opponents. Soon, 3 days had passed. During this time, most of the skyscraping realm had been weeded out. Only a few people remained on the battlefield. There was no doubt that survivors after the 3 days were the real experts. All of them possessed a good comprehension of Tao and almost everyone had created their own secret skill. They were really much stronger than the ordinary skyscraping realm experts. On the plain, Jian Wushuang slowly walked forward and glanced around him. Occasionally, he would see an opponent and kill him immediately. In these 3 days, strong experts had emerged and were now recognized by others on the battlefield. Jian Wushuang's battle strength was at the top, so it was reasonable to rank him in the top 30. Many people would know of his reputation and chose to run when they saw him. Already 3 days. When on Earth will the first round will be over? Jian Wushuang thought to himself. The first round had no rules, so they had to keep killing their opponents, but he didn't know when it would be over. Jian Wushuang suddenly stopped and raised his head. A red-robed woman had flown from the hill in front of him and was slowly walking towards him. She held a scarlet scythe and was filled with killing intent. She looked at him with a hint of excitement. "You are Sword Emperor?" The red-robed woman standing in front of Jian Wushuang asked in a voice tinged with excitement. "Lady Red, the Scarlet Scythe, you are Xuefeng?" Jian Wushuang stared back at the red-robed woman. After 3 days of frenzied killing, strong experts had risen to fame. Everyone now knew Jian Wushuang as Sword Emperor. His strength was acknowledged on this battlefield and he was ranked in the top 30. Xuefeng had also become an expert during the 3 days. She had comprehended the raging fire Dao and her strength was extremely terrifying. She had killed at least hundreds of skyscraping realm and was ranked in the top 30. These 3 days I've killed more than 300 skyscraping realm, but their strength was mediocre so I could beat them easily. But now, meeting you finally? Xuefeng licked her lips and said, "Hope you are good enough to challenge me." "I feel the same." Jian Wushuang smiled slightly, his eyes reflecting his strong battle intent. He had also killed numerous skyscraping realm in the last 3 days, but no one had caught his attention. Now he had finally met a decent opponent. Deep down, Jian Wushuang was full of anticipation for the fight. "Let's start." Xuefeng blinked and transformed into a blood shadow which flew through the void. Her speed was so fast that ordinary skyscraping realm experts would only see a shadow. The blood shadow suddenly popped up in front of Jian Wushuang, and the scarlet scythe hacked towards him. The scarlet scythe looked like a beautiful scarlet moon as it split the void and rushed towards Jian Wushuang. The tremendous power compressed the air and produced successive explosions. "So powerful!" Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. Although he hadn't fought against the scarlet scythe, he could sense its great power based on this attack. Fortunately, they were in the eternal world. If this had happened in the ancient world, the scarlet scythe would have split the void into 2 parts. Jian Wushuang proceeded with caution. His killing intent surged and his heart-killing sword was shaken because it sensed a strong opponent nearby. Jian Wushuang started his first attack. His sword impaled the void. Boom! An immaterial wave spread out. The first level of the advanced secret skill, heaven-breaking technique. Jian Wushuang's world body had been cultivated in the world prison with the support of Emperor Shao for 3 years. At the same time, with the guidance of Di Jing, his slaughter body had fought with thousands of crazy demons in the slaughter zone. During those fights, his comprehension of slaughter Dao had improved significantly and he had created his own secret skill. The heaven-breaking technique, which was created by his slaughter body, had already reached the first advanced level. Pong! A loud bang made the battlefield tremble. Whoosh! Whoosh! Jian Wushuang and Xuefeng were forced to retreat because of the explosion. None of them had an advantage in this round. The sword principle manual is great. Obviously your comprehension of the slaughter Dao is not as good as mine, but the power of the secret skill that you have created is stronger than mine. Xuefeng stared at Jian Wushuang with a hint of respect. "Sword Emperor, you are the only skyscraping realm expert who has managed to withstand my previous attack in these 3 days. Now I will try my best to fight." Hearing this, Jian Wushuang sneered, but deep down he thought, "Xuefeng is indeed strong, but her strength is still not good enough to let my world body join the fight. I can beat her with my slaughter body." Jian Wushuang's 2 original bodies. The slaughter body was weaker than the world body. Since the start of the first round, he had only fought with his slaughter body. Even for this encounter with Xuefeng, he didn't plan to use his world body. "Let's fight." Jian Wushuang and Xuefeng resumed their fierce fight. Swish! 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 The two figures both transformed into shadows. They flew through the void with ease at extreme speeds. Then they exchanged blows. Xuefeng's scarlet scythe transformed to 3 blood shadows and hacked towards Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang easily dodged the attack and then swept his sword light outwards with powerful killing intent. As they fought, hundreds of huge holes appeared in the ground. The loud noises from the fight also drew the attention of experts nearby, but they did not dare to approach closer to watch. Sword Emperor and Xuefeng? The two of them are fighting now? Both of their battle strengths are ranked in the top 30, so they can easily pass the first round. It's not necessary for them to fight now. Maybe they have been unbeatable in the ancient world for a long time, so they are eager to have a fierce fight when they meet a worthy opponent. Many experts were discussing among themselves. At this moment, in front of the numerous mirror images outside the battlefield. Number 315 image. Sword Emperor and Xuefeng are fighting. Both of them can enter the second round. They are definitely the top ancient world warriors this time. Since they are fighting now, record the mirror image carefully, don't miss any details. The cold voice issued the command and the fight was completely recorded by the mirror image. On the battlefield, the two experts were still fighting to death and both were evenly matched. I've exploited the Dao comprehension well, but I still can't defeat him or even take any advantage. Xuefeng frowned. Jian Wushuang had a cold expression on his face as he thought. Xuefeng is much stronger than all the other sky-scraping realm experts I have met. If I want to defeat her with my slaughter body, I should either use the spiritual power or physical power which are much stronger than the average level, or I need to use that trick. Jian Wushuang pondered over his options. He had cultivated the heavenly creation skill, so he had a perfect foundation which made his spiritual power and physical power much stronger than the ordinary skyscraping realm. This was his biggest advantage. However, Emperor Shao had cautioned him against showing his perfect foundation, so he couldn't really use it. Since I can't expose my flawless foundation to them, I'll have to use something else. Jian Wushuang made up his mind. However, before he could make that move, a deep voice interrupted his plan. The both of you not bad. A man's voice echoed throughout the area with a suppressing force, which drew the attention of the two people who were fighting, as well as the skyscraping realm experts hidden in the surroundings. Looking towards the voice, they saw a man clothed in a heavy armor walking towards them with a saber in his hand. The man was strong-built and in his middle years. As he drew near, the experts could feel the suppressing force that surrounded them become stronger. When the man finally stopped walking, he looked toward Jian Wushuang and Xuefeng with battle intent in his eyes while loudly saying, "I'm Feng." Feng. The name caused the hidden experts to change their looks. Xuefeng also showed a grave expression upon hearing this name. As for Jian Wushuang, he only looked slightly serious at that moment. During the last 3 days on the battlefield, they had heard many famous names, most of which were of the top 30 experts, but none had frightened them so much as Feng had. It was all because many skyscraping realm experts had died in this person's hand, including some people as powerful as Xuefeng. Even more terrifying, those poor guys had been killed in a single strike before they could even struggle. In light of this, Feng was considered as one of the top 3 experts among everyone who was still on the battlefield. 2 days ago, when I first heard this name, I thought I would meet him in the second round, but it looks like he came sooner than I expected. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly at Feng, not frightened at all. He was not as famous as Feng, but that did not mean that he was weaker. After all, he had not used his full power yet. Sword Emperor, Xuefeng. Feng called their names while looking at them. You two are powerful, so you qualify to be my opponents. Now, accept my blow. After saying this, Feng swung his saber at Jian Wushuang and Xuefeng. Looking at this move, Jian Wushuang could tell the man had reached an extremely high level in the Destruction Dao and had comprehended all the key points at his current level. Besides the move, Feng also displayed a powerful secret skill. His saber surged toward its target like a rolling river. However, the target was only Xuefeng. Xuefeng had a grave expression while facing this blow. Without hesitation, she met the saber with her scarlet scythe and all her Dao power. When the two weapons collided together, The saber overpowered the scythe and cut through Xue Feng's body in an instant, while she stared ahead in amazement. Wang! A dazzling light flashed out of the drill ground. It was Xue Feng being sent out of the battlefield. How is this possible? He defeated me with a single strike. Am I really so powerless when compared with him? She stood there quietly, her eyes filled with disbelief. She had been confident in her power before this, so it never occurred to her that she would lose to someone at the same level as her in one strike. The only reason had to be that Feng was just too strong. His power lives up to his fame. He should be ranked number 1 among us. She sighed, staring at the wormhole in front of her. Since he's not any stronger than me, Sword Emperor will be defeated by Feng with one strike as well. With this thought, she waited for Jian Wushuang to exit the battlefield and appear here as well. The hidden skyscraping realm experts were still in shock after seeing Xue Feng's failure. Even Jian Wushuang couldn't help narrowing his eyes. It's your turn. Feng turned towards Jian Wushuang and launched a ruthless attack. It was a blow as powerful as the previous one. The hidden experts started to take pity on Jian Wushuang because they thought that he could not survive it. They believed that Jian Wushuang was at the same level as Xue Feng. When he saw the move coming towards him, Jian Wushuang took action as well. He decided to continue relying solely on his slaughter body. The heart-killing sword quivered along with his surging killing intent. Cataclysm skill. As Jian Wushuang growled, killing intent began to radiate from him. Buzz! The moment he displayed this skill, the whole area became dark. Only his sword shone brightly in the darkness. Boom! With a fierce sound of metal on metal, a blast wave surged out towards the surroundings. Jian Wushuang was thrown back hundreds of meters like a cannonball. Meanwhile, Feng was only forced to take one step backwards. However, it still surprised him. The scene rocked all the hidden experts, so they started talking about it. Jian Wushuang is alive? He didn't get killed, and he even forced Feng to retreat a step. It was a brilliant move. The experts who were responsible for recording the battle results witnessed the fight through the mirror image. Superior secret skill of the first level. The skill Jian Wushuang displayed is of the first level. Write it down now. Jian Wushuang has survived Feng's attack with his superior secret skill. He even forced Feng to take a step backwards. Therefore, he is qualified for the second round and even the third round of the following battle. Jian Wushuang and Feng stood in the air, hundreds of feet apart. When Feng sensed Jian Wushuang's aura and realized it was as powerful as before, he frowned and said, "You're the first person who managed to take my blow on this battlefield. You're much more powerful than any of my previous opponents." How flattering. You're quite powerful as well. Jian Wushuang praised him from the bottom of his heart. He was not sure if he could beat Feng, even with his world body. With your current power, you can make it to the end of this round. I expect to meet you in round 2, Feng added. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows when he heard those words. He doesn't want to fight me now. After all, it was just the first round of genius battle in the ancient world. Therefore, they did not have to battle each other at that moment. I expect to see you in the following rounds as well. Jian Wushuang's eyes sparkled with battle intent. Feng shot him a serious glance and nodded at him before leaving. After Feng left, the hidden experts were in a sudden uproar. This battle would bring Jian Wushuang's name to every corner of the battlefield as a person who had been able to push Feng back. In the next few days, the battle continued in a less fierce way since there were fewer people still fighting on the battlefield. After the battles with Xue Feng and Feng, Jian Wushuang encountered another expert ranked within the top 30. This opponent was even stronger than Xue Feng, but Jian Wushuang still killed him with his superior secret skill, Cataclysm skill. As time went by, the 5th day finally arrived, signaling the end of the first round of the genius battle. Boom! A mighty power swept over the whole battlefield and caused everyone there to cease what they were doing. The very next moment, they saw their token explode in a flash of light and they were brought back to the drill ground. All the warriors from the ancient world had been gathered there again. The whole area was clamorous as the experts looked towards the people who had performed well during the battle. Look, he is Feng. He is a frightening guy. I heard that he killed countless opponents during the last 5 days, including some of the people in the top 30, with only a single strike. Very few managed to take his blow. This guy is terrifying. The man there is Huaying, and he's as famous as Feng. It's impossible to tell who is more powerful between the two unless they battle each other. That guy is Xianxia. He has battled Huaying. Can you see that black-robed youth with a sword on his back? He is Sword Emperor, one of those who managed to survive Feng's attack. He might not be a match for Feng and Huaying, but he is not weak at all. Quite a lot of people were discussing the results with each other. They had talked very little at the beginning when everyone had yet to show their power, but now, after the first round, they had enough information to have discussions about the powerful experts. On the other side of the drill ground, the geniuses from the eternal world were talking to each other as well. I really want to know whether we have made it to round 2 or not. The results were a worrisome issue to most of them except for those who had absolute confidence in themselves, such as Jian Wushuang, Feng, and Huaying. Everyone waited in silence. By the time the elders finished calculating all the results, a half-hour had passed and the list of those who could get into the next round was decided. Here are the details on the first round of the genius battle. Send it to all the sects right now, the leader of the elders ordered. Understood. Someone went to send the files. Not many sects currently had their men watching the battle in Firmament Territory Feast. They did not care about the results of the first round because it would not be enough to determine who the most excellent talents were. That's why the elders had to send the results to them. However, when it came to the second round, the sects would be more concerned. The list of the winners of the first round is settled. Go announce it. Immediately, a white-robed man took the list to the drill ground and handed it to the host of the battle. After a careful glance, the host nodded and went to the drill ground where the geniuses from the eternal world were. We're ready to announce the names of those who make it to the second round. I'll read them to you one by one. The host started to read the names on the list before the warriors could react. Gu Qing, Mu Zhan, Ouyang Xian, Ling Hu. Those whose names were called all beamed with joy while the others remained anxious. The host read out 900 names without pausing. The above 900 people are eligible for the second round of the genius battle. As for the rest of you, you all failed, the host said indifferently. Feelings of happiness and sadness encompassed the area. A little later, the host appeared at the drill ground on the other side, where the warriors from the ancient world were gathered. Just as before, he started reading the names on the list. Feng. The first name he read out was Feng. No one felt surprised by that because Feng had demonstrated his incredible power in the first round and was regarded as the #1 expert among them. Huaying, Long Ying, Bing Shan. Those names echoed loudly throughout the area. Jian Wushuang was the 13th one to be called. He slightly smiled among the crowd, but he was not surprised. Even though he had not used his world body even once during the last 5 days, only relying on his slaughter body, he could easily rank within the top 20 among all the competitors. Therefore, he was confident in his results. He Xian, Dongfeng Lingyue, Shui Feng, the red-robed woman, Shui Feng, let out a sigh of relief after hearing her name. She had been worried about the result because Feng had defeated her in the first half of the first round. However, it turned out that anyone who demonstrated their talent and power would get into round 2. I can't believe Sword Emperor made it to the end of the first round. She could not help glancing at Jian Wushuang with an odd look. Back when she was locked in battle with him, Feng approached them and defeated her, throwing her out the battlefield with one strike. She had thought that Jian Wushuang would suffer the same result as her, but she was wrong. Jian Wushuang had not been sent out of the battlefield, no matter how long she stood there waiting. Could it be that Jian Wushuang was hiding his power when he fought against me? Shui Feng thought to herself. Up in the air, the host suddenly paused after announcing 100 names. What's the matter? Why did he stop reading? What's going on? The warriors all looked confused. Then, they heard an icy voice say, the above 100 people can participate in the second round. Everyone else has been eliminated. Those words dumbfounded the warriors. What? Is that it? Only those 100 people made it to the second round? No. It's not fair. Someone roared. How could it just be 100 people? In fact, those who had made it to the next round looked surprised as well. They could not believe that among the 100,000 participants, only such a small number of them managed to pass the first round, while the other side of the battlefield had 900 people out of 10,000 from the eternal world that could enter the second round. There was a huge difference between the two numbers. It's not fair. Why are there only 100 of us allowed in the second round while 900 passed? The number of our participants was 10 times larger than theirs. They showed more favor to those from the eternal worlds. I don't believe I'm weaker than the talents from the eternal world. Why are they allowed in the second round but I'm not? Just because I'm from the ancient world? I can't accept this. Roars kept resounding from the drill ground. There were many who had confidence in their power, but they were not on the list, so they were unconvinced. Humph! The host snorted and looked down at the warriors and used his aura to suppress the whole area. The aura was 100 times more powerful than the one Jian Wushuang had felt from Shuiyang. Everyone became quiet while facing this pressure. Some of the rebellious ones were even forced down on their knees by the pressure. I told you that everyone is equal in Firmament Territory Feast. Only your talent and power can determine your fate. Those who failed in the first round failed because you lack power. The voice of the host was heard again. As for whether it's fair or not, the weak have no right to judge that. The host continued firmly. He waved his hand and added, as I said previously, the people on the list can stay. As for the others, your time in Firmament Territory Feast is over. You can choose to leave here on your own in a half hour or be killed. Those words caused the place to be shrouded in a gloomy atmosphere. The warriors who failed in the first round had to leave hopelessly, no matter how unwilling they were. They dared not challenge the host nor the sex behind him. Sword Emperor, congratulations! Jian Wushuang, among us three, only you made it to the second round. Remember to win some fame for our ancient world. Wu Xian and Ming Lu looked at Jian Wushuang with envy. The two had tried their best to fight, but they were too weak and failed to earn themselves a place on the list. You two, please take care of yourselves. Jian Wushuang shook his head while watching their backs. He could do nothing about their results. He knew very well that, due to their weak power, no sect would offer them an olive branch, so leaving here was the best choice for them, as it would be too dangerous to adventure in the eternal world. Lots of warriors left while grumbling about it. Jian Wushuang shook his head at them in secret. Is this really not fair? Is it? He could not help looking toward the drill ground where the geniuses from Eternal World were. Tens of thousands of people from our ancient world participated in the battle, many more than that of the Eternal World. Nevertheless, our overall level of power is less than theirs. They possess superior resources for cultivation, so they have a great advantage over us, allowing them to gain more power. The 900 winners of the first round are the top talents among them, and it's true that only 100 of us could be their match. Jian Wushuang sighed in private. The host was right. It's a fair battle. In less than half an hour, all those who failed the first round had left. The number of those who remained in the two drill grounds amounted to about 1,000. They stood on two opposing sides, the people from the eternal world on one side, while those from the ancient world were on the other side. However, the next round would be different from the first round because they would encounter opponents from both sides. Listen, the host spoke again. All of you are definitely geniuses of the Firmament Territory since you have survived the first round, but the second round will take place in 10 days. Please prepare yourselves. In 10 days, the geniuses were surprised. I'll give you the information on all the sects in the Firmament Territory, so you can consider which one you want to join while you are preparing for the following battles. Of course, you should know that your performance in the upcoming battles will decide whether you can achieve your wish or not. So, geniuses, show your power as much as you can, and it may result in you receiving an invitation from the sections. An intense discussion immediately broke out among the geniuses when the words fell. Sword Emperor. Xuefeng walked over to Jian Wushuang. Xuefeng. Jian Wushuang gave her a smile. I heard that you managed to survive Feng's attack, Xuefeng said with a strange expression. I was just lucky, Jian Wushuang replied. I don't think it's luck that you created a superior secret skill. Xue Feng curled her lip and continued. It looks like I have to watch my back if I meet you in the future rounds. Well, Jian Wushuang forced a smile. Right then, both Jian Wushuang and Xue Feng felt several disdainful eyes fall on them. Those guys. Xue Feng gritted her teeth and looked toward the geniuses of the eternal world. That was where she felt the stares coming from. They are really arrogant. How annoying, she growled. Yes, they look down on us from the bottom of their hearts since they have more advantages than us. Jian Wushuang echoed her thoughts while frowning. But we have to admit that they are more powerful than us. Even Feng, the strongest one among us, is probably no match for the top 10 experts among them, Xue Feng said dejectedly. Her conclusion made Jian Wushuang narrow his eyes. He had learned of Feng's incredible power, so it was really astonishing to know that Feng, who had defeated Xue Feng with one attack, could not make it into the top 10. Maybe it's true. Jian Wushuang sighed in secret. While the geniuses were chatting with each other, someone came and handed them a file containing detailed information on all the sections. The geniuses immediately started reading through the information as soon as they received it. After all, the 100 geniuses from the ancient world knew very little about the eternal world and the sects, so they read the files with their full attention. Jian Wushuang was no exception. The firmament territory covers a large area in the eternal world and it's home to numerous sects and forces, both strong and weak ones. Among the forces, there are 3 magnates: Cloud Sea Asgard, the Immortal Dynasty, and the Boundless Demon Sect. Those 3 sects possess the best resources and have the most disciples in the firmament territory. Men of talent appear there in large numbers with every generation. In short, they are the most powerful sects in the whole territory. As the geniuses were reading, the descriptions about the 3 magnates caused their eyes to light up. They knew that the stronger a sect was, the more resources it could provide them. All they wanted from the firmament territory feast was to join a powerful sect, so it was obvious that the 3 magnates would be their best choices. However, the strong sects always had a higher standard for their disciples. Normal geniuses would never enter their eyes. Only the truly exceptional ones could win their favor, like the top 10 geniuses. It's too hard for me to reach the standards of the 3 magnates. I should just give up. As for what has been written in the file, only the very best will be accepted as inner disciples. Even becoming an outer disciple requires one to enter the top 50. Obviously, I'm far from their requirements. Take it easy. There are other sects besides the 3 magnates. We may still have some hope. The drill ground was abuzz with discussion. After carefully reading through the information of the magnates, Jian Wushuang turned to the 9 other top sections. Those sects might not be as powerful as the magnates, but they still possess a certain level of strength. The best of them was a sect called the Ancient Sect. The Ancient Sect? Those words caught his eye, so he continued reading. According to the file, even though this sect was only one of the top sects, it had won as much fame as the 3 magnates. The master of the Ancient Sect is acknowledged as the #1 expert in firmament territory, and Xianxia from this sect is the best among those in the eternal realm. In addition to the sect master, there were also 3 Dao masters in its long history. The information caused Jian Wushuang to have a strange expression on his face. He was almost lost in those words about the brilliant achievements of the Ancient Sect, which, based on the file, seemed to be more impressive than the 3 magnates. The fact that the #1 expert in the firmament territory was not from the 3 supreme magnates had been totally beyond his expectation. What had surprised him even more was that, while there was only 1 Dao master in each magnate, there were 3 in the Ancient Sect. 3 Dao masters in 1 sect. There was no doubt that the Ancient Sect could outshine the 3 magnates. The Ancient Sect. Jian Wushuang repeated the name in secret. If the author of this file is not from the Ancient Sect and has not over-glorified it, the only logical reason to justify such a magnificent description is that this sect is quite unusual. With this assumption, Jian Wushuang continued reading about the other sects. The rest of the 9 sects were actually very normal and not up to par with the 3 magnates. Following the 9 sects were many middle-sized and small sections. However, as powerful as they might be, They were no match for the top 9. After reading through all the information, Jian Wushuang finally understood the general knowledge related to all the sections. If I want to gain more benefits, I will have to do my best to join a more powerful sect. The 3 magnates and the ancient sect should be my best choices. If that doesn't work out, there are the other top sections. As for the middle-sized and small sects, they would be about as helpful to me as adventuring on my own. Jian Wushuang was determined to at least join one of the top 9 sections. Of course, he knew it would all be up to the sects. On the drill ground, all 1,000 geniuses were waiting in silence. 3 days later, they heard a series of booming sounds and felt a mighty power descending. What's happening? They immediately looked up only to see a towering pavilion floating in the sky above them. The pavilion was as huge as a mountain and had 2 golden words that seemed to be carved at the center of it. Skyward Pavilion. A pavilion? A floating pavilion? This pavilion has such an overbearing aura. The geniuses all studied it with astonishment and awe in their eyes. They could feel the aura very clearly. At the same time, they also noticed that the pavilion had 4 floors with several rooms on each floor. However, the top floor only had 3 big rooms. Judging from the awe-inspiring aura that was coming from them, they guessed that those rooms were for the 3 magnates. On the 3rd floor, there were 9 rooms, representing the top 9 sections. As for the rooms on the 1st and 2nd floor, they belonged to the small and middle-sized sects. Inside the center room on the top floor were the people from Cloud Sea Asgard. Your Excellency, the details of the geniuses who have survived the first round are in those 2 files. This one is for the 900 people from the Eternal World, and that one is for the 100 people from the Ancient World. In the room, a man dressed in white handed 2 files to an elder. The elder, who was sitting in a wooden chair, looked like an immortal with black hair. His milky eyes glanced over the man before he accepted the file with the information on geniuses from the Eternal World and began to read it. As for the other file, he did not even spare it a glance. The elder quickly finished reading. The geniuses this year seem to be more outstanding than in the previous years. The elder murmured, "We plan to accept 3 new disciples from them, but it looks like we will have to increase it to 5. Your Excellency, do you want to take a look at the information of those geniuses from Ancient World?" The man in white asked gingerly. "From the Ancient World?" The elder raised his eyebrows and sneered while saying, "Hell no! They are no match for those from the Eternal World. Because of their limited resources, they were born to be inferior to those in the Eternal World regardless of their talent or insight. In addition, their foundations are also inferior. The further they go after reaching the skyscraping realm, the nearer they draw to their limitations. So, I don't actually think they should be considered geniuses because of their disadvantages and useless cultivation. I reckon that less than 5 among them will survive the 2nd round of the genius battle. I don't want to waste my time on them." Obviously, the elder thought little of those geniuses from the Ancient World. On the contrary, I'd love to pay more attention to the shining stars among the geniuses from the Eternal World. The elder added with a smile, "Your Excellency, do you need me to send them an invitation now?" "No, not yet." The elder continued speaking with an expression of pride. "We can't make it too easy for them. If they want to be one of our disciples, they will have to show us more of their talent." The elder showed his pride as a member of the top sect among the 3 magnates. At the top floor of Skyward Pavilion, in the room on the left, were the people of the Immortal dynasty. Among them, a middle-aged man with matted hair who was sitting straight in his chair, with 2 files at hand. His eyebrows revealed his rebellious character. After he glanced through one of the files, the one containing the information on the geniuses from Eternal World, he nodded and exclaimed, "Some of these youngsters are really outstanding. Your Excellency, should we send them an invitation in advance?" A white-robed man standing beside him asked respectfully. "No, let's wait a little longer," the middle-aged man replied. From the very beginning to the end, he never even cast a glance at the other file. The geniuses from the Ancient World were completely ignored. At the same time, in the room of the Boundless Demon Sect, a girl was reading a file as well. She looked quite young, but her aura was evil and terrifying. When she finished reading the information on the geniuses from the eternal world, she turned to the file on those from the ancient world. The man named Feng has performed well, but he will, at best, only make it within the top 20. She curled her lips and put the file away casually. It seemed that none of the three magnates had really been interested in Jian Wushuang and the others that came from the ancient world. What's worse, the same was true of the top sects as well. They did not believe that there were real geniuses in the ancient world. However, being less competitive than the top sects, the middle-sized and small sects had decided to target those who were less favored. The genius Feng, despite being from the ancient world, is really something and may even make it to the top 20 in the Firmament Territory Feast. Send him an invitation saying that we want to accept him as our disciple. An order was given out by the Luotian sect. Send Feng an invitation and tell him we're willing to have an Eternal Realm expert teach him in person. Another order came out from the Ice Fire sect. The man named Huaying is really impressive and can probably survive the second round. Tell him our Sky Shadow Temple is willing to accept him as an inner disciple. Bing Shan is excellent. Those invitations from the middle-sized and small sects went to the outstanding geniuses from the ancient world in succession. While all the geniuses were gathered in the drill ground, some men dressed in white robes would arrive and give the geniuses from the eternal world an invitation from time to time. As for those from the ancient world, like Jian Wushuang, they had received some invitations as well, but all of them were from the middle-sized and small sections. Jian Wushuang. A man came to him and said, "Here is an invitation from our Mahua sect. If you accept it, then you will be an inner disciple, and one of our divine realm experts will teach you in person." Understood, thanks. Jian Wushuang simply nodded without giving a definite answer. This is a message token from the divine realm expert Jiu Yi. Once you've decided to accept our invitation, you can contact him through it. Jian Wushuang accepted the token and put it in his interspatial ring without taking a careful look at it. He was not interested in joining a powerless sect where the strongest person was a divine realm expert. The invitation might not appeal to Jian Wushuang, but it did to many others who looked at Jian Wushuang with envy. Some of them had only received an invitation from the small sects and could only be outer disciples, while some had not even been invited once. Therefore, being an inner disciple of the Mahua sect and having a divine realm expert as a master was a very satisfying prospect to them. So far, I've received 4 invitations, 3 from small sects as an inner disciple, and 1 from a middle-sized sect as an outer disciple. Jian Wushuang shook his head in secret, but he was not discouraged. After all, he had yet to show his real power in the 3 rounds of this genius battle. He was sure that he would receive many better offers after the second and third round. Feng was the origin of his confidence in that. After demonstrating his power, Feng had received a dozen invitations from the middle-sized sects. Even a top sect had offered him a place as one of their outer disciples. As the people on the drill ground continued waiting, in the center room on the 3rd floor of Skyward Pavilion, a white-robed man stood with 2 files in his hand. The man had been waiting there for the past 7 days for the experts who were supposed to be in the room. It's been 7 days, but no one has come. The man was quite bothered and helpless. He was waiting for the representatives of the ancient sect to come. He knew very well that, just as everyone who had ever adventured in the Firmament Territory knew, even though the ancient sect was less powerful than the 3 magnates, they would be harder to deal with than those 3. Right then, whoosh! A figure suddenly appeared in the room as if it appeared out of thin air. The waiting man was startled inside as he looked toward the newcomer. It was a tall man, more than 2 meters in height, with a gentle look and purple hair. The man wore a charming smile on his face and was standing with both hands behind his back. Towering like a mountain, that's the impression he gave to others. He showed a smile at the man who was waiting for him and apologized. "Sorry, I'm late." The waiting man was so surprised that his eyes opened wide when he finished getting a clear look at the newcomer. "Master Xianxia. Master Xianxia has come in person. And he apologized to me just now?" Staring at the towering gentleman in front of him, the white-robed man could not believe his eyes. At that moment, the people in the surrounding rooms noticed Xianxia's arrival as well. The girl from the Boundless Demon sect was the first one to speak to him in a humble tone. Mr. Xianyi, I never thought that you would personally attend the Firmament Territory Feast. Xianyi, are all the Eternal Realm experts in your sect dead? If not, then why would you, as the #1 Eternal Realm expert, come here by yourself? The voice was from the black-haired elder from Cloud Sea Asgard. The words might not sound kind, but the others could tell that the elder was in awe of Xianyi. The middle-aged man from the Immortal dynasty also chimed in with a laugh and said, Mr. Xianyi, we all feel honored by your presence. While those people addressed Xianyi in a more casual way, the experts from the middle-sized and small sects did it more reverently. They called him Master Xianyi. Well, I just came to join in the fun. Of course, it would be good if I could find some new disciples for our sect, Xianyi said with a casual smile. After a while of chatting, Xianyi turned to the white-robed man and ordered, Give me the files in your hand. Yes, Your Excellency. The man immediately handed the files to him. After taking a quick glance at the information of the geniuses from the Eternal World, Xianyi put it away and started reading the other file carefully and even made some comments. The ancient world really has some talents this time. His words somehow stunned the white-robed man. Why did His Excellency favor the participants from the ancient world more than he favors those from the eternal world? He is completely different from the 3 magnates and the top 9 sections. Feng, Huaying, Bingshan, and Jian Wushuang. They are all impressive. Let's wait and see their performance in the second round, Xianyi murmured to himself as he took a seat nearby. 10 days passed quickly. The second round of the genius battle was about to begin. All the geniuses on the drill ground were itching for a fight, especially those who had not received a satisfying invitation from the sections. Their eager eyes betrayed their anxiety. It was clear to all of them that the battle results of the first round could not decide their fate alone, so they were ready to show their real power in the remaining rounds. 10 days have passed. Now, the second round of the genius battle can finally begin. The host's loud voice echoed throughout the whole drill ground from above. This will be different to the first round. In this round, you will be fighting against puppet fighters instead of other participants. After saying this, the host waved his hand, at which point 5 tall and wide platforms, capable of supporting a fierce battle between 2 skyscraping realm experts, appeared in front of the drill ground. In addition to that, each of the platforms was covered with a restriction and had a single towering figure about 2 meters tall standing on it. It was the puppet fighters. The 5 platforms constituted 5 battlefields. Listen, the host continued. The rules for this round are very simple. You can choose any one of the 5 puppet fighters to fight. If you are able to survive against it for 15 minutes, you win. The words caused the geniuses to have a complex feeling. The rules for this round were simple, but it would be harder to pass it. Now, I'm going to call out names in batches of 5 for this round, the host said while looking around. Long Xian, Shui Wuji, Beast, Beizong King, Zhuge Qing. The 5 of you are the first batch. The 5 men immediately walked to the host in succession. Among them, only Beizong King was from the ancient world. The rest of them were from the eternal world. The 5 each entered their own battlefield. They were the first batch of challengers, which made them a little uneasy because they did not know how powerful the puppet fighters were. Begin! With the host's shout, all 5 puppet fighters began to move. They all charged at their targets at the same time, each one with a long spear in hand. They drew near to the challengers at an amazing speed and started attacking. Boom! 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 5 blows pierced towards their targets. They're quite powerful. The geniuses showed a horrified look as they watched this scene. They could see each of the blows very clearly. Those 5 puppet fighters are really strong. Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes. He could tell that the puppet fighters were a level more powerful than normal skyscraping realm experts, no matter in power or speed. Most importantly, they all had a profound comprehension of the Tao. All of them have been cultivating the destruction Tao and have mastered its first level. Even the skills they are displaying are superior rank 1 secret skills. Jian Wushuang could not help being astonished. As far as he knew, only about 20 people in the Firmament Territory Feast had mastered the first level of a Dao, and the ones who had managed to create a superior rank 1 secret skill might be even fewer. Therefore, there was no doubt that those puppet fighters could be ranked within the top 20 among them with their achievements in the Dao, skills, strength, and speed. Which to say, the puppets were equal to the more powerful challengers like Feng. The thought of holding on for 15 minutes under such formidable attacks really scared some of the geniuses. Some of them even became pale-faced. Bang! 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 On each of the platforms, a fierce battle was taking place as the sounds of intense combat continuously echoed throughout the area. Among the 5 battles, 2 of them were settled in a short moment. Beizong King and Zhuge Qing, from the ancient world and the eternal world, were kicked out the battlefield by the puppet fighters. As for the other 3 battles, they lasted a little longer than the first 2, but they still ended with the 3 challengers failing in less than 15 minutes. In short, the first batch of challengers all failed. The geniuses all forced a bitter smile after seeing the results. The puppet fighters are so incredible. I don't think I can hold on for even 3 breaths against their attacks. There's no way I can survive the second round. Even though we can't make it to the next round, we should try our best to prolong the battle and draw attention from the sections. Most of the participants knew that their failure in this round was certain, but they still wanted to do their best. The second batch of challengers. The host read out 5 more names. The moment their names were called, those people immediately went onto the platforms to fight. As time went by, batch after batch, the geniuses went forward, faced the challenge, but most of them lost the battle while only some really powerful ones made it to the next round, and all of them were from the eternal world. So far, 1/3 of the participants from the ancient world had tried their luck on the platforms, but none of them had won. Xuefeng, who had previously been defeated by Feng with 1 strike, had managed to hold on for a moment when fighting against a puppet fighter as powerful as Feng, but she failed in the end without a doubt. Now it's time for the 41st batch. Feng, Kang Yuan, Xueho, Shen Yuan Wudao, Yi Jie. At this time, another 5 geniuses walked onto the platforms. The geniuses from the ancient world all looked up towards one of the platforms, only for the reason that their number 1 expert, Feng, was on it. In no time, Feng was locked in a fierce battle with the puppet fighter. Just like the 5 puppet fighters, Feng had comprehended the first level of the Destruction Dao. He had even made some progress in the second level, which resulted in him having a better comprehension of the Dao than the puppets. Not only that, the saber technique he displayed was so forceful and domineering that it overpowered the puppet spear technique. With all this combined, he was able to gain the upper hand in the battle and suppress his opponent completely. The battle lasted over 15 minutes like this, which really astonished many geniuses from the eternal world. Sure enough, Feng survived this round. The experts in the Skyward Pavilion had also witnessed Feng's performance. Even though Feng is from the ancient world, he is highly gifted in the Destruction Dao. Go find him and tell him that we'd love to accept him as an outer disciple. The voice came from the room of the Thousand-Star Sect. Tell him there is a spot for him as an outer disciple. Many top sects hurriedly sent their invitations to Feng, but all of them only offered the position of outer disciple. As for the 3 magnates, Feng was still beneath their notice. Meanwhile, on the drill ground, the battles continued. From the Eternal Worlds group, a red-robed man with red hair caught some eyes. As he walked forward slowly, even his eyes had a red shine to them. The moment he stepped out from his group, he attracted everyone's attention, including the 3 magnates and the experts in the Skyward Pavilion. It's him! Good Lord! He is Xianxia Wuhan, a peerless genius who has the ability to be in the top 5 among all the challengers in the Firmament Territory Feast. Some of the geniuses from the eternal world frowned at this red-robed man with a hint of fear in their eyes. After all, this man was the most outstanding one among the super geniuses that had drawn the crowd's attention in the first round. Of course, Feng, Huaying, Bingshan, and Jian Wushuang could be called super geniuses as well, but only within their own group. In the first round, Xianxia Wuhan demonstrated his power by defeating his opponents like a storm of lightning. No one knew exactly how powerful he was, but they knew that he was terrifying. With his level of power, He can directly beat the puppet fighter down. Yes, he can. But I wonder how long it will take him to do that. I bet he can do it within 10 breaths. Geniuses from the eternal world were discussing the matter with interest. In the rooms on the top floor of the Skyward Pavilion, the three magnates kept a close eye on Xianxia Wuhan. They were all looking forward to seeing his brilliant performance. Under all those eyes, Xianxia Wuhan moved onto a platform. Start! As soon as the words were heard, the puppet fighters all made their moves. Xianxia Wuhan acted at almost the same moment. He stretched out his hand and punched toward his opponent in a gentle and casual way. Boom! The puppet moved back rapidly as the sound rang out. A moment later, another palm carrying a formidable power landed on the puppet. Boom! The powerful puppet fighter was smashed into pieces under the force. Upon seeing the puppet fighter which fought with Xianxia Wuhan being directly destroyed, all the people on the drill ground quieted down. Was the puppet fighter broken? He only attacked twice, with the first palm slapping the puppet fighter away while the other directly smashed it. After all, the battle strength of the puppet fighter was equal to Feng, who was one of the top 20 geniuses in the Firmament Territory Feast. Additionally, its body was stronger than an ordinary skyscraping realm warrior. However, it was still smashed by 2 palms. How powerful was he? How terrifying! Too strong. This guy is simply a monster. Countless geniuses widened their eyes in awe and horror as Xianxia Wuhan slowly walked out of the battlefield. Many of these geniuses couldn't hold out against the puppet fighter for long, and some of them were even defeated by it very quickly. But Xianxia Wuhan had smashed it with only 2 palms. There was a huge gap between their strength. After seeing what happened on the battlefield, those experts from all sects in the Skyward Pavilion couldn't calm down at all. The 3 experts on the top floor who represented the magnates were a little excited. Xianxia Wuhan is very impressive. He has an extremely great understand of the Raging Fire Dao, comprehending the first level and most of the second level. Besides, the secret skill that he created is extremely powerful and can completely display his comprehension in the Raging Fire Dao. How amazing! He fought in the first round of the genius battle, but his strength wasn't that exaggerated. It's clear that he didn't use his full power at that time, and what he just revealed might not be his limit either. The 3 experts representing the 3 magnates all spoke highly of Xianxia Wuhan. The experts from the other sects were also shocked by Xianxia Wuhan's display of strength. Given his strength, this Xianxia Wuhan could definitely have won first prize in the some of the previous Firmament Territory Feasts. The previous champion's battle strength is actually slightly weaker than his. But the geniuses in this feast are all stronger than the previous ones. So it's not yet clear whether this little guy can rank first. Yes, it's a little early to confirm he'll be the first, but he'll at worst rank third. Go to tell Xianxia Wuhan that we, the Immortal Dynasty, are willing to offer him admission as an inner disciple. Tell Xianxia Wuhan that if he joins us, Cloud Sea Asgard, there'll be endless cultivation resources available to him. Elder Fire, from our boundless demon sect, has the strongest comprehension in the Raging Fire Dao among all the Eternal Realm cultivators in the Firmament Territory. Tell him that as long as he's willing to join us, the Boundless Demon Sect, I'll personally recommend him to Elder Fire. The 3 magnates and various top-class sects all invited Xianxia Wuhan in succession. As for the medium and small sects, they all knew clearly that top geniuses like Xianxia Wuhan were talented people that they could never possess. They also knew that they couldn't win against the top-class sects, so they were sensible enough to not even try inviting him. However, there was an extremely special existence among all the sects, the Ancient Sect. Generally speaking, the Ancient Sect could compete with the 3 magnates in strength, but they didn't do anything after Xianxia Wuhan showed his strength. In the room where the Ancient Sect was, Xianyi, the purple-haired man with a gentle smiling face, looked down towards the drill ground. Xianxia Wuhan? He has good talent, but these geniuses are far more gifted than those in the previous feasts. There are at least 3 geniuses who can compete with him, but they aren't in a hurry to expose their strength. After all, no one knows what they'll encounter in the 3rd and 4th round of the genius battle. The more strength they hide, the more trump cards they'll have, which will also increase the possibility of them winning. So, this Xianxia Wuhan is a bit impatient. Xianyi shook his head and just watched quietly. He didn't ask the white-robed man to send out any invitations to the geniuses on the drill ground. The second round was still going on. The shattered puppet fighter had been replaced, and it was Jian Wushuang's turn after this batch of geniuses. Under the watchful eyes of the other geniuses and the sect experts in the skyward pavilion, Jian Wushuang entered one of the battlefields. While standing in front of the puppet fighter, he could clearly sense the pressure it released. Start! Outside the battlefield, with the shout from the middle-aged man, all 5 puppet fighters moved at the same time. Whoosh! Jian Wushuang clearly heard the wind-breaking sound in front of him as the puppet fighter's figure appeared, holding a long spear. The moment the puppet fighter stood in front of Jian Wushuang, the long spear fiercely struck at him. A mighty power burst forth immediately. Jian Wushuang had seen other geniuses fighting against this puppet fighter outside the battlefield, so he had known a little bit about its strength. Thus, he dared not be careless. Boom! Jian Wushuang radiated killing intent as he held the heart-killing sword in his hand. A bright beam shot out as he directly chopped at the fighter puppet. The whole area suddenly fell into darkness. Jian Wushuang directly displayed the superior rank 1 secret skill, Cataclysm skill. Bang! There was the sound of a tremendous collision as a great pressure arrived, causing Jian Wushuang's face to instantly darken. He staggered and immediately took a quick step backwards. Its power is genuinely strong, but it's still weaker than Feng's attack. Jian Wushuang was forced to step back, but a smile appeared on his face. The puppet fighter's strength is good, but it will only keep this up for 15 minutes. I don't even need to display the world Dao. Hua! The puppet fighter flickered about like a ghost, forcing Jian Wushuang to retreat as it quickly rushed to attack him. The long spear in its hand lunged out like a poisonous snake. Swoosh! 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 Spear shadows darted forward like a poisonous snake's tongue, so quickly that no one could see them before they came into contact with Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang's vision darted about like lightning while the sword soul in his sea of consciousness was emitting sword soul power. Jian Wushuang wielded the heart-killing sword, producing sword shadows and releasing an incredible amount of power as he fought against the puppet fighter. Their battle was extremely intense. Jian Wushuang was completely suppressed, but there was no sign that he would be defeated. Ha! In the skyward pavilion, the experts from the different sects all looked at Jian Wushuang in surprise. This little guy has great talent in sword principle. Yes, his sword soul power is extremely strong. It's much stronger than many sword principle geniuses. All these experts had very sharp eyes, so they could tell that the reason Jian Wushuang was able to fight against the puppet fighter for so long was that his sword soul power was very strong. A sword soul strength was determined by the user's talent in sword principle. The stronger the sword soul was, the more gifted they were in sword principle. Therefore, they thought Jian Wushuang had a good talent for sword principle. However, they didn't know that this wasn't the peak of Jian Wushuang's sword soul power at all, and that he was merely using a portion of his sword soul power. Emperor Shao told me that my sword soul is the strongest sword soul he has ever seen, and that it is unusual. So he asked me not to expose my strongest sword soul in the Firmament Territory Feast. Because of that, I can only use a portion of my sword soul power, and I have to purposely hide my sword soul phantom so that no one will know I have awakened the strongest sword soul. Jian Wushuang thought as he fought with the puppet fighter. Emperor Shao warned him about many things before Jian Wushuang left to attend the Firmament Territory Feast. Because his flawless foundation and sword soul were very significant, Emperor Shao reminded him not to expose them easily. As for his other abilities, there was no harm in exposing them. Therefore, when Jian Wushuang engaged in close combat with the puppet fighter, the physical strength from his foundation and the advantage from his bursts of spiritual power had not been completely put on display. He had hidden most of his sword soul power. But, even so, the experts from the sects still thought that Jian Wushuang was quite gifted in sword principle. 15 minutes quickly passed. Jian Wushuang exited the battlefield. As he exited, he noticed that many of the surrounding geniuses were staring at him with very strange expressions. This boy, he has already reached his limit. Yeah. It was clear that he was about to lose and that as long as the puppet fighter made another move, it might have defeated him and sent him out, but the 15 minutes ended just in the nick of time. He's a lucky dog. These geniuses could tell that even though Jian Wushuang passed the second round, he barely passed. Barely, just barely. Everyone could see that Jian Wushuang had been one-sidedly beaten by the puppet fighter the entire time. If it kept attacking Jian Wushuang, it would win eventually, but time ran out. My performance in this second round really did look like I reached my limit. Perhaps everyone thinks I passed this second round because of luck. Jian Wushuang looked around, but he was laughing in his heart. He didn't care at all about what these geniuses thought of him. They were free to believe that he barely won if that's what they wanted to think. It was only the second round anyway, and there would still be a third and fourth round in which he would have many opportunities to reveal his strength. In the Skyward Pavilion. This boy has good talent in sword principle, but it's a pity that he's weak in comprehension of the Tao and he's still far from complete comprehension in the first level of the Slaughter Tao. Besides, he's from the ancient world. He is good talented since he was able to get to this point from the ancient world, but he is much weaker than the geniuses from the eternal world. Passing the second round is already his limit. As for the third round, he has no chance of passing it. The experts from the sects talked casually as they laughed. There were only a few small sects and one medium sect that sent people to invite Jian Wushuang. As for the three magnates and the top sects, they didn't do anything. But in the room where the ancient sect was, Xianxia, the purple-haired man, looked at Jian Wushuang with a lot of interest. That little guy hides his strength so well? Xianxia smiled. There are quite a few people hiding their strength in the Firmament Territory Feast, but he is one of the few who is hiding their strength the best. The other experts felt that Jian Wushuang's strength was very normal. Only Xianxia saw at a glance that Jian Wushuang had hidden his strength very deeply. I've seen so many sword principle geniuses and even some sword principle experts, among which were many great talents. But, no matter how gifted they were in sword principle, it wasn't enough to influence me. However, this little guy, his sword soul actually caused my sword heart to become a little excited. Haha. He's not simple. On the drill ground, the second round was still in process. It went on for a whole day and night before the second round was finally over. After the second round, only 124 of the 1,000 talents who emerged from the first round were left. These 124 people were eligible to enter the third and fourth rounds of the genius battle while all the others were eliminated. Among the 124 people, there are only 6 from the ancient world. Jian Wushuang frowned. The 5 people next to him included Feng, Huaying, Bingshan, Shening, and Wu Huang, who all stood there and frowned as well. The 5 of them, plus Jian Wushuang, were the only 6 among the 100,000-odd geniuses in the ancient world who survived the first 2 rounds of the genius battle. However, there were still 118 talents from the eternal world remaining. The difference was too obvious. Of course, those who could still stay after the first 2 rounds were very excellent. They were all transcendent talents. In the Skyward Pavilion, plenty of sect experts were considering what conditions they should offer to attract the top geniuses on the drill ground. At this moment, Xianxia, the purple-haired man in the ancient sect's private room, finally made a move. Give the 6 tokens to these 6 people. Xianxia passed the 6 tokens to the white-robed man. Aye. The white-robed man nodded respectfully. Although he was surprised at Xianxia's decision, he left immediately. Seeing the white-robed man flying out of Xianxia's room, many of the sect experts in the Skyward Pavilion immediately looked at him. After all, this was Xianxia's first invitation to the genius battle. They were all very curious about who the ancient sect, which had a great position in the whole Firmament Territory, and Xianxia, who was called the #1 Eternal Realm Cultivator in the Firmament Territory, would choose. A large number of the sect experts, including the 3 people representing the 3 magnates, stared at the white-robed man. When the white-robed man appeared on the drill ground, he directly walked toward the 6 geniuses from the ancient world. Feng, Huaying, Bingshan, Shening, Wu Huang, and Jian Wushuang. The white-robed man spoke in a cold voice. Jian Wushuang and the other 5 people immediately looked at him. These are the tokens that Master Xianxia from the ancient sect ordered me to give you. After saying that, the white-robed man threw the 6 tokens to the 6 geniuses. The white-robed man didn't hide his voice in the least. So the surrounding geniuses from the eternal world heard it and instantly fixed their sights on Jian Wushuang and the other 5. The ancient sect? Master Xianxia? All the people were startled. All the geniuses here had carefully read the information on the sects and clearly understood the ancient sect's position among the sects in the firmament territory. Although it was one of the top 9 sects, the ancient sect was stronger than the 3 magnates in many ways. Especially when it came to cultivating disciples, the ancient sect surpassed the 3 magnates. Otherwise, it could not have produced so many experts. It could be said that the ancient sect's appeal to these geniuses was no less than that of the 3 magnates. Master Xianxia? He was the strongest person in the eternal realm in the firmament territory, with an outstanding level of strength and identity. This same person, Master Xianxia, not only personally watched this genius battle from the Skyward Pavilion, but even directly offered tokens. But he gave those 6 tokens to the 6 people from the ancient world instead of the top geniuses from the eternal world. What was going on? Even the 6 people, including Jian Wushuang, were a bit confused, not to mention the geniuses from the eternal world. Although they could hardly believe it, Jian Wushuang and others still accepted the tokens, at which point they heard a message. I am Xianxia, from the ancient sect. The performance of the 6 of you in the genius battle is very good. The 3rd round will be very important. After that, I will decide whether to accept you as a disciple of the ancient sect. So I hope that you will display your full strength in the 3rd round. The message was simple and did not directly invite them to join the ancient sect. However, after receiving the message, the 6 geniuses, including Jian Wushuang, became greatly excited. The ancient sect. Huaying clenched his hands with burning eyes. I thought it would be good enough if there was a top sect willing to accept me as an outer disciple. Bing Shan, who wore a white robe and had a cold expression, stuck out his tongue and licked his lips. The ancient sect? Feng raised his head as his eyes narrowed slightly. The geniuses of the eternal world looked over at Jian Wushuang and the other 5 with a little jealousy. It's the ancient sect. Even we are not eligible to be invited by the ancient sect. But these 6 people from the ancient world actually got tokens from Master Xianxia. When it comes to talent and strength, Feng is the strongest among the 6 people from the ancient world, but he can only rank in the top 20 among us. And for Wu Huang, Jian Wushuang, Bing Shan, and Xianing, they are at bottom among us. How could they also receive a token from Master Xianxia himself? What exactly is going on in the mind of Master Xianxia and the ancient sect? This question not only bewildered these geniuses, it also puzzled the experts from the sects. Mr. Xianxia is interested in the 6 little guys from the ancient world? The evil girl from the boundless demon sect asked telepathically with a bit of doubt. Ha ha! Xianxia didn't hide his thoughts and spoke directly. We, the ancient sect, value geniuses, but there are 2 kinds of geniuses. The first type are the ones who possess excellent talent, while the second are the ones whose minds are as firm as a demon. Personally, I prefer the second type. Compared with those geniuses from the ancient world, these geniuses who were born in the eternal world have too many innate advantages. They're endowed with unique advantages and can easily reach the skyscraping realm. It's very seldom that they encounter obstacles or go through hardships, so they tend to have a bad temperament. But those little guys from the ancient world are different. The cultivation condition in the ancient world, which is a plain world, are pretty bad. There are numerous warriors in a plain world, but few people are able to reach skyscraping realm. Anyone who makes it had to face endless setbacks. Their wisdom has already matured, and it's not an exaggeration to say they're quite clever. The eternal world is deadly and dangerous. If someone wants to survive in it, a good temperament is the most important asset to have. After Xianxia finished the sentence, quite a few of the sect experts in the Skyward Pavilion agreed with him. Temperament was indeed extraordinarily important for surviving in the eternal world. Of course, there were some people who were displeased with his words. Xianxia, we're here to choose talents. The reason why we choose them is to make them experts who can support our sects. We aren't choosing them to help them live a long life. The black-haired elder from Cloud Sea Asgard sneered. That's what Cloud Sea Asgard is doing. The disciples in our ancient sect only cultivate to live happily and leisurely. Whether we're strong or weak, it's enough if we can keep living happily, said Xianxia. Humph, that notion isn't right. No wonder you can't become the fourth magnate in the firmament territory. The black-haired elder sneered and said, in that case, it will be enough for you to take away those 6 little guys from the ancient world. If you don't compete with us, then we'll accept all 6 of them, Xianxia immediately said. That's fine then, you can have them. They're merely 6 little guys from the ancient world. The black-haired elder was dismissive. Since Mr. Xianxia wants those 6 little guys, we, the Boundless Demon Sect, will definitely give you face. The evil girl from the Boundless Demon Sect spoke directly. We, the Immortal Dynasty, aren't interested in those 6 little guys at all. Since Mr. Xianxia wants them, I won't compete with you either. The arrogant middle-aged man from the Immortal Dynasty also agreed. Well then, thank you, all of you. Xianxia gave a faint and mysterious smile. On the drill ground, the 124 talents who had passed the second round of the genius battle were quietly waiting for invitations from the sections. There were indeed many white-robed people flying out of the skyward pavilion in a row at first, representing the sects and delivering invitations. But the invitations quieted down after half an hour. After that, under the surprised gazes of these geniuses, a lot of experts flew out of the skyward pavilion and immediately left. Why did they all leave? The geniuses were all confused. As this moment, the middle-aged man that was presiding over the conference spoke again. After the second round, it will be a month before the third round begins. I'll take you to a place where you can rest for this month. Hearing this, the geniuses couldn't help wondering. The third round of the genius battle wouldn't be on until a month from now? Take us to a place? Jian Wushuang cocked his eyebrows. Where will he take us? Bewildered, the geniuses who passed the second round left the drill ground with the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man quickly took them to a towering mountain. Here we are. The middle-aged man stood in the air and pointed toward the towering mountain in front of them, then said, This is Enlightenment Mountain. There are many cave mansions on the Enlightenment Mountain. You can stay here for a month and cultivate. Go! The middle-aged man waved and did not explain anything. The 124 geniuses were confused, but they rushed toward Enlightenment Mountain since the middle-aged man told them to. However, as soon as they reached the mountain, the geniuses immediately noticed there was something unusual about it. What's going on? Why do I feel like it is easier to comprehend Tao here than it is in other places? Right? I feel like that too. All the geniuses were surprised to find that it was much easier to comprehend the Tao here. This Enlightenment Mountain actually has such a kind of ability? With a hint of surprise in his eyes, Jian Wushuang immediately found a cave mansion and entered. As soon as he entered the cave mansion, he found it easier for him to comprehend the slaughter Tao. It's faster to comprehend the Tao in the cave mansion than outside. These geniuses also quickly noticed this point. They couldn't help being overjoyed. Naturally, all the geniuses found their own cave mansion and began to comprehend and cultivate. At this time, no one wanted to think about anything else. All they were thinking about was cultivating and comprehending. They meditated on the Tao they had comprehended. They found that meditating on the Tao here was at least twice as fast as in other places across the world. That was to say, 1 day of meditation in the cave mansion was equal to 2 days outside. Besides, they could stay here for a full month. A month was brief, but they could reach a new level in Tao comprehension with such great cultivation conditions. We're here to see who can make the most progress. Sitting cross-legged in the cave mansion, Jian Wushuang knew very clearly in his heart why the man wanted them to stay here for a month. What kind of person could be called a genius? Those who had a gift. And what was the best way to demonstrate how gifted they were? Progress. The speed of progress was also the standard for those sect experts to choose talents. This month seemed short, but anyone with real talent would be able to make a lot of progress under such conditions. 1 month. A spark flashed through Jian Wushuang's eyes. A month was a short amount of time, even for the top geniuses here. They could make progress this month, but they couldn't make much progress. But Jian Wushuang was different. He had just broken through and took the first step in the heaven-treading realm. He went straight to the firmament territory feast immediately after making his breakthrough. But the greatest benefit of the heaven-treading realm was talent in comprehension, which was very different from the skyscraping realm. He was already an absolute genius with a flawless foundation, and his talent was so great that he was by no means weaker than the 123 geniuses that were currently at Enlightenment Mountain. Furthermore, his talent in comprehension directly became 10 odd times better after reaching the heaven-treading realm. His current level of comprehension was already beyond imagination. 1 month was enough to increase his strength by leaps and bounds. Now I just have to wait and see how much progress I can make in 1 month. Jian Wushuang clenched his hands, with a glimmer of expectation in the eyes. Then, with a thought, an identical figure appeared beside him. The world body and the slaughter body both began to focus on cultivation and meditation in this cave mansion. There were many geniuses in Enlightenment Mountain, but they were all currently busy in their own cave mansions, so none of them would bother Jian Wushuang. Time went by slowly. In a flash, 1 month had passed. "Come out, all of you!" The middle-aged man shouted out from above Enlightenment Mountain. But his voice contained magic power which transmitted it to all the cave mansions. Those geniuses, who were completely absorbed in meditation, were immediately awakened. One by one, the 2 Jian Wushuangs in the cave mansion opened their eyes at the same time. A month passed so quickly. Jian Wushuang sighed lightly, but there was no regret on his face. Instead, his eyes were shining. After the 2 original bodies were united again, Jian Wushuang slowly walked out of the cave mansion. All the other geniuses also came out one by one. Seeing their expressions, Jian Wushuang knew that they all should have benefited a lot in this last month. "Follow me." After saying this, the middle-aged man took them back to the drill ground where the firmament territory feast was held. The skyward pavilion was still quietly floating above the drill ground, and the sect experts were already back. They were talking casually. "Now that a month has passed, I wonder how much progress these little guys have made. Who knows, but it should not be small. After all, they stayed at Enlightenment Mountain for the whole month, where they could meditate on the Tao twice as fast as in other places. Even an average genius can make some progress in a month, let alone these top geniuses who can make it to the 3rd round. Let's wait and see." Many of these little guys have deliberately hidden their strength during the first 2 rounds of the genius battle, but the 3rd round is different. These little guys will reveal their strength one by one. Then we'll find out who is the strongest. The experts from the sects were all looking forward to what would happen. In the room where the ancient sect was, the eyes of the purple hair man, Xianxia, were focused on Jian Wushuang, Feng, and the other 4 people. But he was not concerned with the top geniuses from the eternal world. The 2 little guys, Jian Wushuang and Feng, have hidden themselves very well, especially Jian Wushuang. He even caused my sword heart to become excited, which has never happened in the firmament territory. Even more of their strength will be revealed during round 3. I hope they'll give me a surprise. Xianxia smiled. The middle-aged man presiding over the conference had already begun to announce the contents of the 3rd round on the drill ground. Round 3 consists of the arena battle. "The round 3 is an arena battle," said the middle-aged man. "All the geniuses taking part in round 3 will draw lots, one by one, to select their opponents. The winners can continue to battle and the losers will be eliminated. By the end of the round, only the strongest will remain. The top 10 geniuses will gain generous rewards for making it to the end of round 3 in the genius battle. Only the top 10 geniuses will be rewarded with 100,000 divine gems. 2nd and 3rd place will receive 500,000 divine gems. Whoever gets 1st place will be given 1 million divine gems and a Tao origin fruit." Hearing this, many geniuses became quite excited. Divine gems were the currency for trading in the eternal world. They were capable of restoring spiritual power. In the eternal world, an ordinary person in the divine realm would only possess several thousand divine gems. 100,000 divine gems was a great amount of wealth for these geniuses since it was already more than the assets of most divine realm experts. 1,000,000 divine gems was very close to the entire fortune of an eternal realm expert. As for the Tao origin fruit, it was one of the most valuable treasures for comprehending the Tao, so its value was even greater than 1,000,000 divine gems. No wonder these geniuses were so anxious to receive such a generous reward. However, Jian Wushuang had a strange look on his face. Doesn't the genius battle have 4 rounds? The geniuses will be ranked in round 3. So what will we compete on in round 4? Jian Wushuang had some doubts, but he didn't think about it anymore. Everyone quickly stepped forward to draw lots for the next round. Jian Wushuang also took a token. Jian Wushuang checked the token and found the number 28 on it. So Jian Wushuang's opponent was the person who had token number 27. Who will my first fight be against? Jian Wushuang thought, looking around and eventually locking on to a wicked man. The wicked man was also staring at Jian Wushuang. It's him. Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes. Jian Wushuang knew of the wicked man called Chu Yang. He had witnessed Chu Yang's strength in round 2. Chu Yang had a very good comprehension of the Earth Tao, only a step away from the first level. He had also created a stage 1 superior secret skill. With regard to overall strength, he barely ranked in the middle of the remaining geniuses. I am lucky to be fighting with a genius from the ancient world in the first battle. Chu Yang sneered and walked towards Jian Wushuang, radiating a commanding atmosphere as he said, "Young man, I saw your performance in round 2, but you are far weaker than me, so you'd better give up in the upcoming arena battle. Save both of our time." I should give up? Jian Wushuang said with an interesting smile. If you are strong enough, I'll give up. I did give you a chance, but you don't want it. Well, I'll make you regret your choice. Chu Yang snorted and then left. He really was looking down Jian Wushuang the whole time. It was normal. Jian Wushuang squeezed through round 2 with a poor performance. Among the 124 geniuses, his strength was at the bottom. It was no wonder he was being looked down upon by the others. However, Jian Wushuang did not care. It wasn't long until round 3, the arena battle, finally kicked off. The battleground was situated in a huge open space at the center of the drill ground, and it was large enough for 2 geniuses to battle at will. The first fight of the arena battle started. The 2 first geniuses showed their strength completely. Because their strengths were somewhat equal to each other, the fight went on for quite a while before a victor was finally decided. The winner remained and continued to participate while the loser was eliminated. As time went by, everyone fought fiercely while trying to display their full power. Many of them had deliberately hidden their strength in the first 2 rounds, but none of them were holding back in round 3. It was also true that they had all made progress in the last month because of their time at Enlightenment Mountain. These geniuses had made a lot of progress in that month. Boom! Suddenly a fierce roar emerged from the middle of the battlefield. Many geniuses from outside the arena and those sect experts in the Skyward Pavilion all cast their eyes on 2 specific figures in the arena. The 2 men were having a fierce fighting. One of them was named Jin Yu, who many had high expectations of because he was strong enough to rank among the top 20 in this Firmament Territory feast. Before the drawing, many geniuses had prayed that Jin Yu would not be their opponent. But now, this genius was lying awkwardly on his stomach and coughing up blood while he struggled to stand up. But in the end, he failed. Jin Yu was defeated. He had received a heavy blow. The genius fighting with Jin Yu was a purple-robed youth with a stone staff in his hand, a cold look on his handsome face, and a particularly strong aura. Just then, the purple-robed youth attacked 3 times in succession and defeated Jin Yu. Jin Yu didn't even get the chance to struggle because the gap between them was that big. This man, I remember him. His name is Gong Chao. All eyes were concentrated on the purple-robed youth. Gong Chao was from the Eternal World. In the first 2 rounds, his performance was only good enough to let him qualify, so very few people paid attention to him. But at the beginning of round 3, he had instantly defeated Jin Yu, who was strong enough to rank in the top 20. His strength was instantly recognized. Top 3. His battle strength is within the top 3 at the very least. He is definitely as powerful as Chen Qiu Wuhan. His comprehension of the Thunderbolt Tao is very good. With his strength, it is quite possible to strive for first place in this firmament territory feast, just like Xianxia Wuhan. Another extreme genius has appeared. Quickly, send him an invitation right now. The three magnates and the top sect experts all sent invitations to Gong Chao. At the drill ground, many geniuses stared at Gong Chao as he exited the battlefield. They all had serious looks on their faces. Gong Chao? Great. He's qualified to be my opponent. But I'm definitely stronger than him. Xianxia Wuhan clutched his hands as battle intent raged in his eyes. Gong Chao. A slovenly girl in green from among the crowd glanced at Gong Chao. A sliver of light flashed in her eyes. He's quite strong. Feng stared at Gong Chao and pondered. I'll have to go all out if I battle him. He only needed 3 strikes to defeat Jin Yu. His strength is quite good. As Jian Wushuang peered at Gong Chao, his eyes sparkled with eagerness. The arena battle continued. Several geniuses competed against each other. One fierce fight after another. Chu Yang, Jian Wushuang. The middle-aged man shouted these 2 names. Immediately, the geniuses cast their eyes towards Jian Wushuang and Chu Yang. It's my turn. Jian Wushuang slowly raised his head. Jian Wushuang. Fight! Bing Shan and Xianing said. These 2 had just failed to defeat their opponents in the arena battle. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly, then stepped towards the battleground. Chu Yang also walked towards the battleground while many geniuses from the eternal world looked at him enviously. Chu Yang is so lucky. He gets to fight with Jian Wushuang from the ancient world. Among the geniuses in round 3, Jian Wushuang is definitely at the lower end. Whoever fights with Jian Wushuang is guaranteed to win. Chu Yang is so lucky. There is no suspense in this fight. Those geniuses from the eternal world all sighed with emotion. In the Skyward Pavilion, those sect experts were obviously not very interested in this fight. Since Jian Wushuang had a terrible performance in round 2, no one believed he could hold a candle against Chu Yang. Therefore, they all thought there would be no suspense in this fight. Only Xianyi from the ancient sect had a glimmer of hope while waiting for the fight. That boy has hidden his strength for so long. Is it time for him to show his strength? Let me see a good show. On the battleground, Jian Wushuang and Chu Yang stood facing each other, hundreds of feet apart. Boy, remember what I told you? Chu Yang sneered and a bronze sledgehammer appeared in his hand as he continued saying, I told you that I would not give you the chance to surrender. Well, I'll be waiting, Jian Wushuang said while slightly smiling. This boy is pretty calm? He must be pretending. I bet he will be defeated by Chu Yang in 10 breaths or less. 10 breaths? Isn't that too short? After all, Jian Wushuang fought with the puppet fighter for 15 minutes when he passed round 2. The geniuses from the eternal world on the battleground were talking and laughing. At that time, Chu Yang grasped the bronze sledgehammer started to attack. Boom! With a harsh wind-breaking sound, Chu Yang turned into a phantom and instantly appeared near Jian Wushuang. As he swung the sledgehammer, a majestic earth Tao emerged. The sledgehammer immediately rocketed forward at a staggering speed. In the blink of an eye, the sledgehammer seemed transformed into a towering bronze mountain with immense power as it crashed down towards Jian Wushuang. Seeing the bronze mountain, everyone on the battleground shouted out in surprise. He's lifting that much weight so easily? How did Chu Yang achieve such a high level in comprehension of the Earth Tao? His understanding of the Earth Tao was not this high a month ago. It seems like he made great progress during the month he spent at Enlightenment Mountain. Jian Wushuang is unfortunate. Many geniuses sighed. Chu Yang, who was holding the bronze sledgehammer, had a treacherous smile on his face. Now do you see? Do you understand how much progress I made this month? Chu Yang said with pride. He really made a lot of progress last month. So he could not wait to show off his progress in hopes of attracting the attention of sect experts as soon as he had entered the arena battle. As for Jian Wushuang, Chu Yang only thought of him as a gauge he could use to show his strength. But, at this exact moment, Jian Wushuang slashed out with his sword. Buzzing. The moment he swung the sword, the surrounding area became dark. Only his sword shone brightly in the darkness. Superior rank 1 secret skill. Cataclysm skill. This skill seemed similar to a month ago, but it shined more brightly now. Its power increased several times over. The two attacks collided. Bang! After a thud, the stronger person was victorious. Puff! While coughing up a full mouth of blood, Chu Yang's expression froze and his pride instantly vanished. He stared at Jian Wushuang with a hint of shock. He was forced backwards several hundred meters by the tremendous impact. Outside the battleground, all the bantering Eternal World geniuses were standing there motionless. They all had stunned expressions on their faces. They were completely astonished. They had thought that there would be no suspense in this fight. Yet, Chu Yang had been forced to cough up blood after only one exchange. He had been completely overpowered. They had assumed that Chu Yang would overpower Jian Wushuang, but the result was the exact opposite. How could it be possible? These words echoed in everyone's mind. In the Skyward Pavilion, those sex experts all looked at Jian Wushuang at the same time. They had seen the collision very clearly. Does he thoroughly understand the first level of the Slaughter Dao? It seems so. If not, his power would not be that strong. But how could this be? A month ago, his understanding of the Slaughter Dao was just average. He still had a long way to go before he reached the first level. How could he grasp it in just a month? Not only that, he has made progress towards the second level. He improved so much in only a month? Those sect experts were shocked. During the 1 month at Enlightenment Mountain, those geniuses had all made some progress, but Jian Wushuang improved at such a fast speed. From almost comprehending the first occult to complete comprehension of it, and even beginning to comprehend the second occult, it would take a normal genius at least a year or more. But Jian Wushuang only spent a month? At first, those sex experts thought that Jian Wushuang might have hidden his strength, but they quickly denied it. They had witnessed Jian Wushuang's performance in Round 1 and Round 2, so they were quite sure that Jian Wushuang had not hidden his strength. At least, not in his comprehension of the Slaughter Dao. After all, his understanding of the Slaughter Dao had been normal. The reason he made such incredible progress on the Slaughter Dao was completely due to the month he spent in cultivation at Enlightenment Mountain. He improved so quickly in only a month? Even those sex experts, who had experienced many ups and downs over the years, were shocked. On the battleground, Chu Yang was completely dazed because of the confrontation. Impossible! This is impossible. How could he make so much progress in only a month? Chu Yang kept roaring. Jian Wushuang was standing in front of him with the heart-killing sword in his hand and a cold look in his eyes as he said, "You just said that I won't even have a chance to surrender?" Chu Yang was stunned. "Let's see who won't get the chance to surrender." Jian Wushuang smiled slightly. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. In an instant, a continuous flash of sword shadows flew towards Chu Yang. The progress made by these geniuses was not comparable to the progress that Jian Wushuang made in the month he spent meditating at Enlightenment Mountain. He became much stronger in just the Slaughter Dao. He had finished comprehending the first occult, even started meditating on the second occult. However, these improvements by Jian Wushuang also greatly affected different aspects of his swordsmanship. Because of his progress in the Slaughter Dao, Jian Wushuang was much stronger than a month ago. Chu Yang had no chance to win, so his only choice was to resign and accept his defeat at the hands of Jian Wushuang. This fight ended in Jian Wushuang's victory. Jian Wushuang noticed that everyone was looking at him differently when he exited the battleground. Those geniuses from the Eternal World had looked down upon Jian Wushuang. After this fight, however, they would not underestimate him anymore. Jian Wushuang displayed an incredible strength that exceeded that of ordinary geniuses. What struck them the most, though, was the amazing speed at which he improved. He made such rapid progress in only a month, which was impossible for these geniuses to catch up to. As soon as Jian Wushuang returned to the crowd, he was surrounded by the geniuses from the ancient world. "Jian Wushuang, congratulations!" Feng looked over at Jian Wushuang and spoke in an icy voice. "Jian Wushuang, you're amazing." Bing Shan, Xianing, and Wu Huang all sighed with emotion. Before that, They had thought that Jian Wushuang would be unable to win since his strength wasn't as good as theirs. But the result was far different from what they had imagined. Not bad. Huaying looked at Jian Wushuang. Huaying, this is just the first battle. It should be an easy win for you, Jian Wushuang replied. I hope so. Huaying smiled slightly. Among the 6 geniuses from the ancient world who made it to round 3, Feng was considered to be the strongest, with Huaying, who had comprehended the first occult, trailing right behind him. Huaying's first opponent was not any stronger than Chu Yang, so he should be easy to defeat if everything went well. As expected, Huaying easily defeated his opponent. Feng also defeated his opponent, who was a little stronger than Chu Yang but wasn't able to hold one any longer than him. The first round of the arena battle quickly ended. Among the 124 geniuses, 62 winners continued on, drawing lots once again to decide their next opponent. Jian Wushuang checked his token and saw that it had the number 1 on it. That meant Jian Wushuang would be the first one to fight. My opponent is him. Jian Wushuang instantly locked onto his target. It was a young, well-groomed man with a folding fan in his hand. Jian Wushuang knew this guy. He was Ouyang Xian. Before the Firmament Territory feast had started, someone had attempted to kill Ouyang Xian in spite of the rules of the feast. However, that person had been easily defeated because his strength was not good enough. Everyone had witnessed how powerful Ouyang Xian was during that fight. Afterwards, Ouyang Xian easily passed round 1 and round 2. They easily beat his opponent in the first round of the arena battle. In this Firmament Territory feast, his overall strength was good enough for him to rank within the top 20. Jian Wushuang, Ouyang Xian, the middle-aged shouted loudly. Then Jian Wushuang and Ouyang Xian instantly appeared on the battleground. Everyone looked at them as soon as they appeared. Even the sex experts in the Skyward Pavilion watched this with interest. Jian Wushuang made such great progress in only a month. Even though he's from the ancient world, so he must be very talented. As for Ouyang Xian, he is a top genius with a strong spirit. Very few people noticed him even though he showed tremendous strength from the beginning. He is quite promising. Since Xianyi has already claimed Jian Wushuang, we can try to rope in Ouyang Xian. Jian Wushuang is supposed to be as powerful as Ouyang Xian, but I wonder which one will triumph. Just wait. It's hard to tell who is stronger without a fierce fight. Until they saw Jian Wushuang and Chu Yang fight each other, those experts would not compare Jian Wushuang with Ouyang Xian. At this moment, they were not sure who would win in this fight since Jian Wushuang's strength seemed to be as powerful as Ouyang Xian's. In the ancient sex room, Xianyi was staring at Jian Wushuang. He suddenly sighed and thought, what a pity! I thought Chu Yang would be able to force this little boy to show some of his trump cards. But who would have thought that he could make so much progress in 1 month and beat Chu Yang with only the slaughter Dao? As of now, Xianyi was once again filled with hope when he saw that Jian Wushuang would be battling Ouyang Xian. Chu Yang was not strong enough, but I believe that Ouyang Xian can force him to reveal some of his trump cards. On the battleground, 2 figures were staring at each other. Ouyang Xian. Jian Wushuang radiated killing intent, but his heart was quite calm, violent but cold. This was what Jian Wushuang had cultivated while on the edge of life and death so many times in the ancient world. Ouyang Xian has comprehended the first occult of the Water Drop Dao and the Gale Dao. He should have made a lot of progress last month, so Chu Yang is far weaker than him, Jian Wushuang said to himself. Jian Wushuang, I saw your fight with Chu Yang. You're strong. Ouyang Xian said. I have fought with many people since the beginning of the Firmament Territory feast, but none of them could force me to exert my full strength. I hope you can do it. Many geniuses could not help gasping in surprise. The strength Ouyang Xian had displayed was already shocking enough, but he had not gone all out ever since the beginning? Jian Wushuang still looked cold. Ouyang Xian had not done his best, but neither had Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang, I know you are good at sword principle. So am I. Ouyang Xian smiled slightly. He withdrew the folding fan and placed it in his interspatial ring, then took out an aquamarine longsword. A soaring sword essence immediately radiated from Ouyang Xian. At the same time, a supreme sword essence exploded from Jian Wushuang. With the two essences colliding in the air, the whole area seemed to come to a standstill. This was a fight between two sword principle experts. When the two soaring sword essences collided, the two experts began to move as well. Whoosh! Whoosh! The two figures quickly rushed forward, leaving behind residual shadows. After that, two sword lights moved. Cataclysm skill. Jian Wushuang slashed out ferociously with the heart-killing sword. Sword C. Ouyang Xian stabbed forward with the sword. Swoosh! A vast ocean was swept toward Jian Wushuang. However, the collision did not create the violent explosion that everyone expected. Instead, the crowd only heard a squeezing sound. Jian Wushuang suddenly felt as if he was wrapped by an endless sea. Ouyang Xian could already use the water drop Dao to the limit of perfection. Roll! As Jian Wushuang surged forward, a killing intent exploded from his body and shot out like a barrage of sharp swords, striking the rolling sea. Sword lights flashed throughout the area. Jian Wushuang waved the heart-killing sword while displaying a murderous swordsmanship and a monstrous killing intent. However, Ouyang Xian's swordsmanship was quite flexible, sometimes quick and violent, sometimes soft and durable, just like the roaring sea. These two completely different types of swordsmanship violently clashed with each other. Dang! 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 The sound of deep crashes echoed. Even though Jian Wushuang's swordsmanship so powerful, he was still unable to break through the surging waves that surrounded him. As for Ouyang Xian, he had displayed a marvelous swordsmanship with a perfect application of the water drop and gale das, but he failed to overwhelm the heart-killing sword. Ouyang Xian, is this your full strength? Jian Wushuang sighed and then struck out with the heart-killing sword. A soaring killing intent burst from the sword blade, releasing an overwhelming amount of sword shadows that surged towards Ouyang Xian, colliding with the long sword in his hands. Dark cyan waves appeared in front of Ouyang Xian and withstood the monstrous sword shadows. Very good. Ouyang Xian looked at Jian Wushuang with a glow of excitement in his eyes and said, "You're the first person here to make me go all out." After saying that, Ouyang Xian placed the aquamarine longsword back in his interspatial ring and exchanged it for a huge heavy sword. A heavy sword? Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. Everyone outside the battleground was very shocked. Ouyang Xian had revealed his heavy sword. Jian Wushuang, take this attack. Ouyang Xian growled before suddenly appearing in front of Jian Wushuang, swinging the huge heavy sword in a chopping motion towards Jian Wushuang. Swoosh! The sword essence was like an endless torrent of water, inundating Jian Wushuang. This is... Many experts in the Skyward Pavilion were surprised when they saw the sword skill that was being displayed by Ouyang Xian. It's the 13 sword moves of Lu Yun. It is a unique skill for the water drop Dao. It was created by Lu Yun, who is in the Eternal Realm. How did this boy learn it? The 13 sword moves of Lu Yun is quite valuable. How could someone like Ouyang Xian, who is only in the skyscraping realm, get his hands on it? In the 13 sword moves of Lu Yun, each successive move is more powerful than the previous one. I wonder how many moves he is capable of displaying with his current comprehension of the water drop Dao. Under the watchful eyes of those experts, Ouyang Xian executed the first move. Jian Wushuang fended it off with all his strength, forcing both of them to take a step back. However, Ouyang Xian didn't stop and went on to display the second move, which was more powerful than the first one. Jian Wushuang was forced to retreat by this move. Without waiting, Ouyang Xian executed the third move. As the heavy sword swung out, its power instantly skyrocketed. He can display the third move? Since the 13 sword moves of Lu Yun were not created by him, it is very remarkable for Ouyang Xian to be able to display the third move while only in the skyscraping realm. With this move, Ouyang Xian can definitely rank in the top 20. Jian Wushuang is going to be defeated. On the battleground, pong! With a loud boom, everyone witnessed Jian Wushuang being knocked to the ground so forcefully that a hole was left at the point of impact. Everyone believed that Jian Wushuang had been defeated. Bang! At this point, the hole suddenly exploded and a figure rushed out into the air. Naturally, it was Jian Wushuang. He didn't look injured in the least, and he even looked excited. Xianxia looked at Jian Wushuang with a frown while still holding the heavy sword. Jian Wushuang had not been injured by that powerful move. Xianxia, you are also the first one here to force me to go all out. Jian Wushuang said in a loud voice as a burning desire flashed in his eyes. He finally decided to use his full power? Xianyi in the skyward pavilion narrowed his eyes. A moment later, Jian Wushuang slashed out with his sword. In that instant, an intense world energy surged forward. All the spectators who had witnessed Xianxia display the third movement of the 13 sword moves of Lu Yun thought that Jian Wushuang was doomed to lose the fight. However, things went against their expectations. Jian Wushuang was not injured under that attack. He brandished his long sword, which startled all the spectators. That is, World Dao, it's the World Dao, and he has a high understanding of it. They saw the strike, which seemed to contain a huge world, charging toward Xianxia. This was a superior rank 1 secret skill named Stars. It was much mightier than the Cataclysm skill, as Jian Wushuang had a better comprehension of the World Dao than the Slaughter Dao. Humph! Xianxia snorted, without a hint of fear in his eyes. He wielded his huge, heavy sword and attacked again. He displayed the same move. Bang! The two strikes violently crashed together, causing a terrifying boom. World Prison! Jian Wushuang growled as he waved his hands. A mighty world energy gushed out from his palms, forming a colossal world prison around his opponent. This world prison was equivalent to the one that Emperor Shao had used to train him, but it was weaker. After the world prison covered Xianxia, Jian Wushuang immediately launched continuous attacks. Swoosh! 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 The sword shadows had completely shown the power of the World Dao and Slaughter Dao that he had comprehended. Numerous giant hands appeared in the world prison and began hitting Xianxia crazily. What? Xianxia turned pale. He was locked in the world prison while being attacked by the World Dao and Slaughter Dao. The only thing he could do was to try his best to resist. The spectators in the skyward pavilion were rocked. He must have comprehended the first occult of the World Dao and has almost mastered the second occult. Otherwise, he would not have been able to control such a huge world prison. He is amazing. He didn't reveal that he had mastered the World Dao during the previous genius battles. We all thought he had a high comprehension of the Slaughter Dao, but didn't expect that his perception of the World Dao was so wonderful. He's already qualified to rank in the top 20 just by using his Slaughter Dao in this feast. Now seeing that his comprehension of the World Dao is superior to that of his Slaughter Dao, this strength, top 10. He definitely has top 10 battle strength. Or even top 5. He has an excellent understanding of the Slaughter Dao and World Dao, and he is adept at the sword principle. Having such strength, he's certainly able to enter the top 5. Most importantly, this boy actually comes from the ancient world. Upon hearing this, many experts quieted down. The Firmament Territory Feast was held every 3,000 years. In its history, those who ranked in the top 20 were almost always the local geniuses from the eternal world. As for the geniuses from the ancient world, it was rare for them to enter the top 20, let alone rank in the top 10. Among previous feasts, only one genius from the ancient world had reached the top 10. However, they now thought that Jian Wushuang was qualified to be ranked 5th or higher. The geniuses in this year's feast were much more powerful than before, so those who were capable of entering the top 5 would have been ranked in the top 3, or even first in the previous feasts. World Dao. Seeing what was happening, Xianyi slightly furrowed his eyebrows. This boy is still holding back some tactics. The experts from the other sects believed that Jian Wushuang was using his full strength, which was contrary to Xianyi's thoughts. His sword principle attracts the attention of my sword heart. It's extraordinary, but he hasn't fully displayed it, Xianyi thought. He had expected Jian Wushuang to display all his skills. He originally thought it was time for Jian Wushuang to perform the sword principle during the fight with Xianxia. But actually, Jian Wushuang only used the World Dao. On the battlefield, Jian Wushuang was fiercely fighting with Xianxia in the world prison. It's impossible. How is this possible? Xianxia was shocked and exhausted. He had tried his best to resist, but he remained at a disadvantage and had no chance to fight back. He has a high comprehension of the world Tao. How is this possible? Xianxia wondered. He did not know that Jian Wushuang had comprehended the first occult of the world Tao, or that he had made great progress in the slaughter Tao as well as his world Tao during his 1-month cultivation on Enlightenment Mountain. His perception of the world Tao had reached a new level. Now he had an in-depth study of the second occult, so his strength improved greatly. How could Xianxia withstand his attack if he exerted his full strength of the world Tao and slaughter Tao? After a while, Xianxia was finally beaten down by Jian Wushuang. When Jian Wushuang slowly walked off of the battlefield, he found all the spectators' eyes fixed on him. They looked grim and a bit frightened. Now all of them were in awe of Jian Wushuang because of his mighty strength. This boy is so powerful. He has an excellent understanding of the slaughter Tao and world Tao. If he combines them perfectly, I'll be no match for him. He is too powerful. Only Xianxia Wuhan and Gong Chao can fight against him. Everyone fixed their attention on Jian Wushuang. No one dared to hold him in contempt now, even though they knew he came from the ancient world. He had gained their respect through his strength. After he returned to the drill ground, Feng gazed at Jian Wushuang with an odd expression, saying, "Jian Wushuang, you've hidden your strength well. The same as you." Jian Wushuang smiled faintly as he threw Feng a meaningful glance. He had recognized that Feng had also hidden his strength in the first round of the genius battle. Although he was considered powerful enough to enter the top 20, Feng had not exposed his true strength. "I'm looking forward to having a head-on fight with you in the arena duels," Feng said. "Me too. But we can't decide the grouping of the arena duels," Jian Wushuang responded. "Then let's fight after the Firmament Territory feast is over," Feng suggested. "Okay." Jian Wushuang nodded with a smile. The arena duels went on. Soon after, Feng took the field. Feng's opponent was also a superior genius who was qualified to get into the top 20. He seemed to be as strong as Feng. Everyone thought it would have to be a fierce fight, but in the end, Feng defeated his opponent with ease. Saber technique. Jian Wushuang, who had kept an eye on this fight, nodded inwardly. The saber technique that Feng displayed was terrifying. Although he had only used the superior rank 1 secret skill, his saber technique was more exquisite than his opponent's, so he had gained the upper hand from the beginning. Obviously, the spectators had underestimated Feng's strength. Huiying, from the ancient world, was out of luck. He encountered an opponent who was able to rank inside the top 10, so naturally, Huiying lost the fight. After 2 rounds of duels, aside from Jian Wushuang and Feng, the other 4 geniuses from the ancient world were knocked out. The results came in. The 31 geniuses made it through to the next round. However, they could not match up in pairs, so the middle-aged host ordered them to assemble at the center of the drill ground. "Listen up. Next, I'll use a special method to choose the 20 geniuses who can continue the arena duels," the middle-aged man said in a resonant voice. "A special method?" The 31 geniuses were all curious. "Are you ready?" The middle-aged man's face fell as a terrifying aura suddenly radiated out from his body and surged toward the 31 geniuses. Although those geniuses had been prepared for it, the mighty aura still forced 2 of them to kneel down. The other geniuses, whose faces had turned red, were trying their best to withstand it. Aura oppression? Jian Wushuang calmly stood with his arms folded. Feng, standing beside him, wore a solemn expression. Obviously, this stream of aura oppression did not work on him. The experts in the Skyward Pavilion watched this with interest. They already knew that there would be a test of aura oppression and that it emphasized one's temperament. The more persistent a genius was, the more easily he could withstand the aura oppression. As I expected, it's easy for those 2 boys. Xianxia smiled faintly. The aura suppression became stronger and stronger. Some geniuses reached their limits. Even Xianxia Wuhan and Gong Chao looked pale. But Jian Wushuang and Feng remained composed, as if the aura suppression had not landed on them. Both of them had experienced life and death trials and struggled on in the ancient world, so they were able to simply stand there. They already had hearts of stone. The geniuses from the eternal world had superior cultivating conditions. But even though they were talented, most of them had not suffered a lot, so their willpower was weak. Bang! 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 Geniuses fell down one by one. Aside from Jian Wushuang and Feng, the other geniuses were still struggling to keep their balance. When the 11th genius fell down, the aura oppression eventually dissipated. They all felt relieved. The top 20 geniuses are qualified to compete for the top 10. The rest of you are out, the middle-aged man shouted in a frosty tone. Upon hearing this, the 11 geniuses who had been forced to fall were not willing to leave, but they had no choice. The top 20 geniuses went to draw lots to determine their opponents. The groupings for the third round of the arena duels were quickly settled. Zhonghua versus Qiu Yu, Li Xiaoye versus Huan Chong, Feng Tianyi versus Wing King, Feng versus Qianxiu Wuhan, Jian Wushuang versus Gong Chao.